Listen, if your business only moves when you move, then you are effectively the bottleneck. And I don't mean this as an insult, but I mean every single time a lead comes into your world, a follow-up needs to happen, there's an approval, maybe a client question, maybe a team question, somehow all of that always ends up falling back to you. So in this video, I want to break down how to identify exactly where your business depends on you just way too much and try to remove you as the bottleneck. Oh, and if you stick around to the end, I promise to give you this really cool worksheet that I've used to figure out how to remove myself from the bottleneck of my business. It's going to give you a breakdown of how to delegate, figure out what to delegate, maybe what to systematize, and more importantly, what is actually deserving of your attention. By the way, if we haven't met yet, my name is Emmanuel. I am the founder and kind of chief talking head of this cool little part of the internet. I also run a consulting agency that's specifically designed to help service providers kind of grow, scale using systems. Now, I've been at this for going on close to 2 decades now. I've worked with a lot of founders, ones that are working at $1 million plus, a couple working at 100 million, but there's a lot of founders out there that are still trying to get to their first 100K or maybe their first $500,000 or maybe their first million. And a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about today is actually directed towards you because I know exactly the true problems and pain points that you're currently feeling right now that's keeping you stuck at a certain revenue level. And the goal is, in order to get to that next revenue level, we have to break through some of the old habits and some of the old rituals that we're currently executing on now. But let's break this down just a little bit more, because I want to make sure that you understand exactly what's going on. Here's the scenario. A lead needs a response. A client has a question. Your team needs an approval. Someone slacks you a question. Individually, none of those are really a big deal. But eventually, your entire day just gets sucked up by all of these interruptions. At the end of the day, you're constantly contact switching. You're constantly checking your Slacks in your inbox or maybe your text messages on your phone. And you're constantly reacting. And before you know it, you've accidentally trained your business to be 100,000% dependent on you for pretty much everything. And the scary part is that nothing's broken until you decide to take a day off. Because when that happens, the follow-ups stop and the questions start piling up and the inbox number starts climbing and decisions wait. And you realize that the business isn't really running you anymore. It's just more so waiting for you. And honestly, I can speak just so intimately to this problem because I remember being there and I know a lot of founders have been there as well. So quick side story about how I broke through. A mentor of mine, Chris, I remember this vividly. I was stuck at about 20K months and I was venting to one of my mentors and buddies, Chris, and he was explaining to me like, hey, so what are you doing every single day? And I'm like, well, I'm, answering emails. I'm, trying to coach the team because they keep missing things, breaking down just basic founder bottleneck stuff. And the way he broke it down to me and kind of explained why I was stuck at my current revenue level, and maybe this is going to be a gut punch to you if you're stuck at a revenue level and you haven't been able to break through. It's because you're doing things, or at least in this case, I was doing things that I felt comfortable doing. And I'd been doing them for so long that they felt repetitive. And because they're repetitive, I didn't really need to think about them anymore. But the true way to get out of a current revenue level is to remove about 80% of the stuff that you're working on so that you can work on a new level of tasks that are at a higher value. Another way to think about it is I was stuck working at 20K level tasks. And because I'd built a comfort level around that, I was never actually able to break through to work on those 30K level tasks. So in order for me to work on those higher revenue producing tasks, I actually had to shift my identity from becoming the person that fixed everything and the go-to person for the business to the person that created the systems for the business so that the problems can effectively fix themselves. By the way, he broke it down not so eloquently, but it definitely landed the point. And I'm hoping it's landing the point for you, because bottom line here is you got to start removing some of the stuff you're working on if you want to get to that next revenue level. Let me break it down a little bit more visually for you to kind of help understand what's going on. So let's say right now at the middle, there is you. And around you are a bunch of different tasks that occur within the business. Maybe at the top here, we have leads coming in. And then we have, maybe there's follow-ups. Let me just put FU for follow-up. And then maybe we have approvals that we need to review. Maybe there's client questions, or maybe there's, on the other end, team questions if you have a team. or maybe it's your VA or your assistant. Then obviously there's also catching mistakes. And then lastly, maybe there is identifying and dealing with escalations. But the bottom line here is currently, right now, chances are if you're watching this video, you're finding out that all of this stuff is really just pointed directly at you. Whenever there's an issue, it always ends up landing into your plate, or maybe into your Slack, or maybe into your email, or maybe into your phone. By the way, if this is kind of hitting home and if this is ringing true, if you can do me a quick favor, hit that like button, subscribe button, bell icon, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much in advance. Having said that, if every arrow points back at you, you are not leading this system. You effectively are absorbing this system. And the reality is your business does not have an execution problem. It really actually has a dependency problem. And the way that this should go is if a lead comes in, maybe it actually should go to someone else, a different owner, maybe a setter. Follow-ups should potentially go to a process. Approvals, well, maybe they should go to some sort of rule. Client questions, well, that can easily go to some sort of SOP. Team questions, well, that's easy. That just means that you need some trainings. Mistakes, well, that can easily be rectified by just making a QA checklist, where in reality, the only time that you truly have to deal with something is when there's escalations. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't to get asked for your questions. The goal is to have less questions be directed at you. Listen, the founder should only handle the exceptions of the business, while the business systems really handle everything else. All right, so as promised, I wanted to make sure I give you a framework, something that you can actually use and take away from this video to help identify some of these interruptions that kind of just bog you down throughout the day and really drain your energy. So this is a system that I actually use. I call it the founder interruption audit. And the basic way that we use this is that we always, on a daily basis, look for an interruption, figure out who asked it, why did it come to you, figure out what the actual root cause of that problem is, and then let's figure out what the fix is. So let me give you a couple quick examples. Let's say you get a message from a team member like, hey, can I discount something? Well, who effectively gave that to me? Well, ideally, it's usually someone from the sales department. Why did that question come to me? Well, it's pretty clear. It's because I probably did not create a pricing strategy. Well, if that's the case, then what would the fix for this be? Well, it's to create the process. And how would we create the process? Well, it's simple. Maybe we create a sheet of rules. Hope you're starting to get the idea now. Let me give you one more. So let's say I get a message from a team member that's like, hey, how do I respond to this? So who's asking this question? Well, maybe it's someone on the fulfillment team. Why are they asking this question? Well, why did this question come to me? Well, chances are it's probably because I didn't create a script. So how do I fix that? Well, maybe it just requires a little bit of coaching. And what exactly am I coaching? A script. I hope this is starting to reveal itself. Now, let me give you a quick tip on this one, especially for you if you're really big on tech and AI. The way I've actually systematized this process, it's really unique, pretty cool. What I do is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but I have a thing called OpenClaw installed into the business. And whenever someone slacks me a message, what I do is I take that message, which is essentially that interruption, and then I forward it to my OpenClaw. And what my OpenClaw does is it actually just takes this cool little spreadsheet that I showed you. I have it on a Google Doc, and it imports all of that information into that Google Doc. And then once a week, every Friday, I go through that Google Doc and review all of the entries from all of my interruptions throughout the day. And it gives me a super clean list of exactly what I need to be working on, whether it needs to be delegated to a system, maybe I need to coach somebody, maybe I need to develop a new process, or maybe it's truly an escalation. But it's made this whole process super easy because all you really have to do is just hit the forward button on Slack. Anyway, I hope you found some value in this video. And if you're curious about how we generate leads every day, appointments every week, and clients every month, then I highly recommend you check out this video right here.